Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and this is going to be a brief little review for TRON Uprising, Episode 5, entitled Identity. Now, as the title hints, basically this is revolving around Beck's identity disk being stolen and the repercussions of that, as in the grid, if your disk is taken away, basically you will suffer memory problems and you will eventually become a stray program. Fading away, your memory will just fade away and you will lose all sense of self. And, you'll just lose everything that makes you who you are. And it's very interesting, sort of, I mean, this was definitely a higher level episode for me than even the last one, because it got into some really philosophical, sort of segments and thought processes inside the grid, how these programs, they live their lives, and there is a life and death thing, like in the real world, but it's very much a digital, computerized aesthetic. So you lose this disc and you lose yourself, essentially, within a certain time frame. And it's very much down to Beck and TRON and a couple other benefactors who go, after this disc and try to figure out what's going on with it, who stole it, where it is, all of that. And uncovers subsequently a sort of bad guy in the making who's trying to make a name for himself, character of Cobalt, who has a right-hand woman by the name of Lux, and their relationship sort of paralleling that of Beck and TRON, because they're not on the same, playing field level in that way, if I can put it that way. They're not on the same level, but they deal with each other, and we see that there's no respect in between, this Cobalt character and the Lux character, who incidentally saves the day by the end of the episode. She sacrifices herself when she realizes that TRON is alive and well on the grid, and she sees the bigger picture, so it's a really interesting thing. I think my favorite part would have to be with TRON himself, or the arc, I should say. My favorite arc was TRON himself. He's been afraid to confide in Beck and really, just embrace him as a friend. And as Beck is losing his memory and he's basically conned into believing he's one of Clue's army soldiers and that kind of thing, and he's about to turn himself into the bad guys, TRON says, I didn't want to tell you this before, but we are friends. And, he relates a little bit later how he was kind of contaminated by what Clue did to him when Clue turned his back on he and Flynn, as we see in Tron Legacy. So just really interesting stuff in this episode. I have to say, it definitely perked up my hopes that we're going in a good direction, but I'm not going to hold my breath. We have yet to see how, the series plays out beyond this episode, but it really excited me, the sort of philosophical elements that played into this theme and the relationship elements between TRON and Beck, and as I say, Cobalt and Lux. And there was even a little bit about, Beck's friend Zed kind of wanting to get in with the bad guys so he could impress his love interest Mara, their female friend, and how he decides to go back on that when he realizes that wouldn't make her happy. And the action sequences, once again, were just stellar. They're very dynamic, and I love the light cycle chases all through the grid and everything like that. Once again, just spot on. The animation is fantastic, and the voice acting is pretty great. I noticed in the credits that Lake Bell actually guest stars. I believe she plays Lux in the episode, and so it's nice to know that there's some star power behind it and that they're actually putting some really good working acting efforts into the story. So definitely enjoyed the episode. I'd love to hear from you guys what you thought of it. Post that in the comments below or as a video response, and otherwise I'll catch you all later. Peace.